Tisha, mother and father, had foster kids and adopted her youngest three siblings. So when Tisha and I first started dating, and we even before we had kids, we talked about having kids of our own, and then getting to a position where we started fostering, and we even tossed around the idea of possibly adopting, and so we just didn't really know what we wanted to do, and then we got to a position, and we decided we wanted to start fostering, and so we did it probably, I guess, Talia is
about 10 years ago.
Yeah, about 10 years ago.
Yeah,
we did it, and we had two kids come.
Did you know about People Places, or did somebody tell us about it?
Darnell used to be, because I worked at Community Attention, and so Darnell was a foster parent at Community Attention, and he worked at People Places, and so I was like, well, let's go to People Places, and so we did, and we got two kids. We actually, you learn on the go. You know, we had a trying experience, and then, you know, we were sad, and as part of the court, we realized that it wasn't against us. It's just something that happens.
Because we had.
You may have missed something. You said you were sad because.
Well, we had our first placement was we did respite a little bit, where we had a couple of little kids come and stay with us for like very short terms.
Okay.
And then we had a placement, two children. It was they were actually cousins, and it was an older boy. He was 14, and then the girl was 6, I think, 5 or 6.
I think she was 4.
Okay, 4. And 3 months, then the older boy ended up running away from us. So that was like really hard, because we were like, oh my goodness, this is our first time, and we had a child run away. But People Place was very supportive, and we never felt like we did anything wrong. And so the girl actually ended up being with us for about 3 years, and so our children got very attached. And then when she ended up being adopted, and when she was adopted, then that, you know, was a time for us. So we decided to kind of take a break from fostering for a while, because our children had been so attached to her, and, you know, our whole family was attached to her. Luckily, though, she's adopted with a family that allows her to keep in contact with us, and so, like, actually she graduates this year in June. We're going to her graduation, and she just came up and stayed with us like a few weeks ago. So we've stayed in contact with her all the years that she's been gone. So that's really great. She actually just lives in Richmond, so she's not far.
And what is her name?
Talia.
That was part of the difficulty in having to take a break, was that we got close to her. We actually had an option to adopt her, and we wanted, and we had to tear it back and forth, because the mother had a relationship. Obviously, you know, People Places is big on getting kids back with their families, and so we are trained and we believe in working with the birth families. But the mother tried to take her, tried to kidnap her, made calls and asked her one time, would you let me kidnap her and let me get away? I mean, so when we just kind of had to make the decision.
Yeah.
We just kind of had to make the decision that, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't the right time then.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that we were able to maintain a relationship with her. So we actually took a break until just last year again, and then we got retrained. And then we began doing respite again. So we had like several children come in for very short-term placements. And we, of course, decided to come back to People Places because they had worked so well with us before. So, you know, we were like, we're going to go back to People Places. So we did the training again here. And it had changed some, actually, since we had done before. So it was good.
Training again.
And then we just recently, like in August, we had a placement of 2 boys, and then at the end of September, then their sister joined them. So we have 3 siblings with us right now.
And
they've been with us since then.
Kids.
Yeah. And so my mom like loves kids too, and so my parents did like fostering. I want to say like from the time I was in middle school all the way until high school, and then so we had different kids like coming in and out. Most of them didn't stay very long, but she ended up, my 2 youngest brothers came to us both when they were 6 weeks old. And then my youngest sister came to us when she was 4 years old. And so they ended up staying with us so long, my mom was like, they can't leave. So she ended up adopting all 3 of them. So now it's 8 of us. And so that just kind of, you know, stayed in my heart. And so, you know, Brian and I said we wanted to do that. I mean, Brian was, you know, like grew up like an only child. So he loved having a big family. So it was good for us. So when we first got married, then we knew that we wanted to participate in, having foster children. My family is a very big family. I have 5 brothers and sisters, and my mom and dad, fostered kids when we were younger. So we had a number of kids going in and out of our house all the time. My friends used to call us the tribe. And so my youngest 3 brothers and sisters, my youngest 2 brothers came to us when they were both 6 weeks old, and then my youngest sister when she was 4. And they stayed with us so long that my mom was like, they can't leave, and so they ended up being adopted. So now there are 8 of us in my family, and so Brian and I knew we wanted to be foster parents also. And so People Places was referred to us by a friend who worked there at the time. And so when we first started the process, we were trained through People Places, and right away, we felt comfortable, we felt supported, and then we began with respite, which is kids coming in and out, just a few short placements, and then we had our first placement was an older boy and a younger girl, and we had some hard times with them, but the younger girl, her name was Talia, and she ended up being with us for about 3 years, and so that was really hard in our family. She ended up being adopted out. So that was hard on our family when she left because we had been so attached to her. But the great thing is that when she was adopted, then her family actually was open to her staying in contact with us. So we actually are going to her graduation in a couple of months, and we went to her birthday party, and she comes up and visits us all the time.
Well, we had the older brother, or the older cousin that was placed in our house, ran away one day after school. He never made it home, and we went through the process of trying to figure out where he was and what was going on, and then we found out where he was, and we knew where he was, and it seemed like it could be easy just to go in and get him, but we were told at the time by the officers and the people on duty that we couldn't just go in and get him, and it was really big for People Places to be there with us through that, because they gave us guidance from experience. They let us know that we weren't the only families that have ever gone through this, and that it would be okay, and it was nothing that we had done wrong. And it was really good to hear that from People Places, because you feel like at that time you're a failure, did I do something wrong? And People Places was very supportive in letting us know that this happens, it's nothing that we did, and they helped us get through that situation and be able to continue and be good at what we're doing.
That is fantastic.
Yes, we started looking after the older boy and the younger cousin of his, as we said, and we had some difficulties with the older boy at the time, and we didn't really know how to handle it. We were in a situation where we felt like there was something that we should do, and we were told by others that it was really nothing we could do. We just had to let it play itself out, and it was difficult because it was the first experience we ever had, and People Places was really big and helping us get through that by letting us know to trust in the system, and that we're not the only families that have gone through these difficulties, and that we were fine. It was nothing that we had done, and so it was really nice to know that we had People Places on our side to help us feel good about what we were doing, even in the midst of a difficult situation.
Okay. So once our Talia, who had been with us for about 3 years, left, then our family needed to take some time. We said we were going to take a break, and it actually ended up being like a 10-year break. Because life just happens. And then we were talking one day, and we were like, we think we want to foster again. The kids are older. We want to try it again. Mm-hmm. So we contacted People Places again because we had such a good experience with them the first time. We really didn't have a reason not to go back. We had really felt supported with them. So we went back and got retrained. And then we started the process again. And
in addition to us deciding to go on, our kids were big in this process as well. They were older, and they mentioned wanting to do it again. Our kids have a giving spirit as well. That's just the way that we were raised, is the way that we've raised them. And they've been really big in this whole process. And they remember when People Places would come and talk to the kids that we had previously, and People Places never isolated them from the events, because our kids, they see kids in our home getting attention, and they want attention as well. And all of the people from People Places that came into our house were great with our own children, and our children remembered that as well. They've been big in this entire process, even since coming back to it again. Our own children have as well.
Well, I know why you picked these.
I actually have recommended people, and I would recommend People Places to anyone because of the training. The training is beneficial that you receive from People Places, not even from dealing with other people's kids, but dealing with your own kids. The training is beneficial. And the support that you get, the joy that you get from being able to help other kids, and you don't always see that joy, because in fact you see some anger at times, and and you need a break. But People Places gives you that outlet to talk to as well. But in the end, the smiles and the knowing that you made a difference in someone's life is just big. Just knowing that it may not show up in the time that they're with you, but there's one day that the child will sit back and realize the opportunities that you gave them to experience something that they may have never experienced or may never get the opportunity to experience again is just worth what you go through.
I think I would definitely recommend People Places. This time around, obviously we have a full house. We have 3 kids this time versus, well, even before we had 2, but still. But it just seems like it's a bigger household this time. But we've had more challenging times this time, and People Places has really been supportive. Our caseworkers, when we have needed a break, like Brian said, they've been there. And even, we're not ones that really like taking breaks, but they're like, no, we want you to do that. You need that. Yeah. And even sometimes just to they're like, you just need to talk through this. We had some challenging times with one child. They're like, just call us, you can vent to us. And so, they've been I would say that just from our experience, I know that they've been very supportive. And so I would say just for that, if you're considering fostering, because there's going to be challenging times, and that's a place where you do get support.
Fantastic.
Hey, well, we're originally from New York City,
okay.
And we moved here 22 years ago. We have 4 children, 10 grandchildren, all living close by. I work for the federal government,
okay.
Social Security, and our story as far as starting foster care, well, our story is I seen an advertisement that they needed teaching parents, and at the time my 2 older boys had moved out on their own and I had the girls. So I said, wow, this is something that I like to try and make a difference in a child's life. So we called and we were trained, and we've been foster parents since then. We did take a break when my parents came and moved to Virginia because they were sick. Then once they passed away, we again got back with People Places, and in contact with People Places, and started our journey again as foster parents.
Yeah, and one of the other reasons was because we were looking for something to give back, and this is our way of giving back to the community, by enriching the lives of a lot of the not so fortunate and children that basically are victims of circumstance. So, this is something that we decided to do to kind of help out in that area.
And you started with the emergency program?
Yes, we did start with the emergency program, so we kind of got a feel of the children, the program, the support system, and People Places is definitely a support system. It takes a lot of players with these children. It takes a village. And we feel the communication, the support system, it's a family working together. And that's why we've done it so long, and we're here for these children, and thankful for People Places for being there for us.
Oh, right. Or what? Tell me about what the thought process
Well,
was.
when I lived in New York, I worked for the Archdiocese of New York, which was Children's Charity. It's a foster care agency, and I used to do the intake. So I'm kind of familiar with the background in foster children. So when I saw the advertisement, at that point in my life, I felt this is something I wanted to do. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to bring these children home to me. So that's something my husband and I discussed along with the family, and everyone was on board. And it's a challenge, but it's a good challenge. You see changes, you want goals for these children, you learn from these children. As teaching parents, they teach us as well. So we learn strength, we learn weaknesses, and so it made a difference. And it's just wanting to be there. Well, when we moved to Charlottesville, we saw the advertisement for People Places, and it looked like that was something that we wanted to do. And so our family got on board, discussed it, and contact People Places, went through the training, and as of today, we're still foster parents and we enjoy doing it.
From New York City, you know, we basically grew up in an urban area, and a lot of the children that we come in contact with, you know, are children that basically we came in contact with as children ourselves and as adults, that was, like I said, victims of circumstance. And basically that was our wanting to give back and help those children, basically.
And in that process, did you?
Yes, and working with the kids, it enriched my life. You know, just doing something for other people is basically what life is about. You know, so it also helped me grow as an individual.
Well, in the 10 years that we've been foster parents with People Places, we've had several children placed, and then one incident was when we had a young lady who kept putting her hand in the lake wanting to get bit by snakes. How we dealt with that was definitely get emergency help, care for her to make sure that she's okay, but kind of try to understand where that was coming from and communicate that with People Places. And as a team, we all worked together to get her the services that she needed. And the most important thing with these children is learning to trust. When they learn to trust, they learn to talk and express their feelings. And I think that's an important part in being a foster parent. And People Places was very supportive. The young lady received the services she needed, and did well after that. Okay, so as foster parents, we had several situations with the children where we didn't know how to deal or handle, and we contact People Places, and they were very supportive in getting these children the help that they needed. And that's a big deal with being a foster parent, having that support, having that communication, and knowing that we're all working together as a team to make a difference for these children. Because they are challenges, but they're good challenges. So that is something that I recommend People Places. They're a great team. We all join together and do the best we can for these children. Okay, your turn.
Yeah, we would, and for friends and family, we would recommend People Places because of the support system that they render, not only to the children and the children's family, but also to the foster parents as well. We work together as a group and as a family and as a team, and People Places is very supportive. We had a foster child, a male foster child, and he grew to have a great relationship with one of my sons. My son is actually a football coach, and we linked those two together, and he actually played for the football team, and the relationship to this day, he still talks about the young man.
Okay, our experience as foster parents also with our own children is the children learn from each other. Each one teach one. And till this day, we still have contact with a lot of our foster children. They've become part of our family. We're invited to weddings, graduations. We get to meet more grandchildren. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing all around. And we hope to make a difference when you foster children. Maybe in one life, 2 lives, but to leave something that they can remember us by and make a difference.
It's really good. What's all about Sean?
Okay, so let's see. I've been in foster care, or I was in foster care for a majority of my life. 15 years plus, from 94 all the way up until my 23rd birthday. So most of my life was in foster care, and the place that I started off with was People Places. This was the first agency that I was actually a part of and was allowed to come and participate and do different things and learn more characteristics about myself, meet other people who are like me, and by other people I mean like teenagers who were in foster care or was in some type of placement outside of their natural habitat or home. So that all started roughly around, for me, People Places around, let's see, 11 or 12. I came in 11 or 12 and I started off here, and they enrolled me into a program that they had at that time, was called STP. And People Places started this program, and what would happen is you would go in as a teenager and you would do work or community service, and based on your behavior and your performance, you would get paid or allotted a certain amount of money based on your level. At that time, my advisor from People Places was Julian Brown, who was a very special woman to me in her recent passing. Yeah, and she helped mold and develop me as a person, as a youth. And you know, she started off here at People Places as well. I was one of her first cases, so I was super excited about that. She was super excited about me, and we just gelled really well together. So I started off in foster care, and through that journey, I had a lot of issues personally. I couldn't go to school without, you know, having some kind of issue with anger or reacting in an aggressive manner towards others, not because of hatred or anything like that, just based on my personal experience. I had a lot of pain and sorrow inside, you know, being taken from my parents and not having the opportunity to really be explained to why. And I think People Places provided comfort and closure for me. They allowed, you know, certain visitations with supervision, and they made it comfortable, and, you know, they made it safe for me to do that. And through that, I was able to provide myself with closure. And so I let go of that chapter in my life and started progressing. Went to college, played some college ball, got my degree, came back home, got a couple qualifications, my mental health professional license, and now I'm serving the community in different aspects, whether it's intellectual disabilities, developmental disabilities, or therapeutic needs for children with autism, Asperger's, and at-risk youth. So that's everything in a nutshell.
That's Sean in a nutshell.
Yeah. So some of the things Ms. Brown supported me with was financial management. She helped me learn the differences between how to make money and how to save money. She also taught me, you know, the benefits of work and how important it is to have a great work ethic and to stand by your word. She was keen on standing by your word, and, you know, she held me to what I said I was going to do, and I cannot appreciate her enough for that, because it still rings true today. Your word is your bond. We also worked on independent living skills, such as learning how to, you know, wash your own clothes, you know, do your own finances, and then on top of that, how to go about purchasing cars, or how to look at cars, how to make smart decisions, and how to ask questions, and, you know, just basic needs that kids think that they learn on the natural that really takes time and teaching to learn. She worked with me on all of those areas and helped me critique them to perfection. I think for the most part is that she was really authentic, and she kept it so-called real. Like, she was straight up and down. She wouldn't beat around the bush. If something was present and it needed to be discussed, she wouldn't sugarcoat it. She would just lay it on me, and then we'd go from there. I think the honesty was what created the bond, the honesty between me and her, and then the fact that I could confide in her and tell her certain things, that how I felt about situations, and then she would address it without exposing me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I felt pressured or I felt uneasy about a placement, she would, you know, challenge what I thought, but at the same time present it to the foster parents in a way that it doesn't look like it's coming directly from me as a source. And I think the protection that she gave me through that was paramount, because that was something that I was looking for, is protection, guidance, and a real parent. So she kind of took on that role from a distance, and that, I think, was concrete for our relationship. The trust, she never broke it. She never broke it. She never lied. She never deceived, or she was never unclear about what decisions were being made or what was going on behind closed doors. And I think the information that she provided was real and it was true, and it was very helpful. Without that information or without that person that I could depend on to be honest with me, even on my own flaws, I think I could have, strayed away from the path that I made, just because it was such a difficult time. And I think, like I said, I really believe it was the honesty of the integrity of what she did as a professional. Yes, People Places was responsible for a lot of the families that I stayed with, and I still contact pretty much all of them on a regular basis. Maybe not daily, but at least weekly or monthly. They'll hear something from me, or we'll intertwine with one another and discuss how things have been going. So I keep in touch with most families. I've had quite a few different placements, but even with that being said, you still run into Charlottesville, such a small place. You run into everybody, and all terms are good with me and my previous families. So yeah, I keep in touch with those guys quite often, actually. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, when I first started off, I had a really serious anger problem. And my anger was directed at my parents. I felt like they failed me. I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I had did something wrong. And so any little thing would provoke me and I would just blow up. It took a lot of care and talking. People Places provided me with Julene, and she took the time to sit down and say, hey, Sean, look, you're mad. I understand that. You have a right to be mad. But if you continue on this path of being angry, you're not going to accomplish any of the goals that you set out for in life. And it took perseverance for me to get through that, and it took patience for her to sit there and keep telling me that after each incident. So we got past the anger stage, and then things started to change. And for me, I started doing better in school. I started to lose weight. I was obese at one point. And then I started to get my grades together. I started to lose this weight. I started to look better. I started to feel better. And all of a sudden, I'm growing into who I want to be. So 8th grade comes around. And at the end of the year, I'm sitting there, I'm talking to my friends at graduation. And they call my name. And I was so stunned that I didn't hear what the announcement was. And I got selected for the Presidential Award, the silver medal for the school, for academic excellence and physical achievement. So I took that, and built upon that. And then I went into high school with the attitude that I can do anything in the world. At this time, I still had Julene. And now I'm a teenager, a full-grown teenager at 15, 16. And what's next? A car. And so I continue to do my work, continue to be excellent, continue to grow, and now I've picked up sports. I became a wrestler and a football player. My talents grew as well, so I became number 2 in the state for wrestling, and then we won the state championship for football, and that grew into my junior year, and then they entered me into a raffle for, a car. And the way that you won the car is you had to have a certain amount of credentials and achievements and accolades for them to accommodate you. Well, they put me in a raffle and I won. I was the best candidate for the car. So I got my first car through People Places, and I still have it. I still have it, even though I've went out and gotten a newer model now, but I still have that car. And I worked all the way through graduation. And once again, I'm sitting in graduation, and a lot of people know my story because I wasn't ashamed of my story. Or I wasn't ashamed of my past. And so at graduation, I'm sitting there and Julene's there as well, because her son was there. He graduated with me. And I'm sitting there talking again. And they called my name once again, and I was not paying attention. And this time I was nominated for the Monticello Pride Award, which is the most prestigious award that the high school could give. It's the award that's given to the student who's most likely to represent the school in its full capacity. So I was given that award, and from that point, I felt mature. I felt like I was grown, and Julene had helped me reach that point through People Places. And at that point, I was no longer in need of services through People Places. And so as I kind of grew out of the system, as you would put it, and I was put in more of an independent role And through that, even though Julian wasn't part of my caseload, she still gave me support whenever I needed it. She always extended the olive branch, said, hey, if you need something, you know, you call me, we can talk about it. And that gave me comfort as well. Going into college, I was solo. I didn't have anybody to really depend on financially or even spiritually or emotionally. And, you know, I was away from home, well, this is what I call home, and I was alone, but I really wasn't, you know. She helped me get my first laptop for my classes. You know, she made sure that process went smoothly. You know, she provided me with a great social worker when I left. You know, she had recommendations for me. And she just really did her job to a T. She was really, really awesome. And I'm forever grateful for her. Yeah. I would highly recommend People Places. The character that they look for hire is paramount. It's unparalleled to any other agency that I've been with. They take their time, and these folks actually care about what you're going through as a person, and they want to help you reach your actual life goal, whether it be to get a job or become a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. They're going to help you do that. And the advice that I would give to those who are looking at the People Places agency is to really evaluate the character of the people that you're working with now, because it doesn't change. It's true all the way through. And if that's what you see, and that's what you see on the surface, it's the same way consistently. It doesn't change or vary once you sign a paper, or, you know, once you give them your money or what have you, or even if you are thinking about, you know, fostering for this company, you're going to get the same thing. It's going to be consistent care and the providing of services for the child that you have, or even for your child personally. So yeah, I would highly recommend People Places.